woke to reality.
From the words of St. John Paul II. This is no time to be ashamed of the gospel. It is the time to preach it from the rooftops. Do not be afraid to break out of comfortable and routine modes of living in order to take up the challenge of making Christ known in the modern world. Let us open our ears and our hearts to listen to the answers of our long-lost questions. Join us every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. for Parousia Hour, inviting expert guest speakers every week as we discover the fullness of truth, live on the Voice of Charity.
Hello and welcome to the Parousia Hour. Charbel, Raish, your host, and Mark Griffin, my co-host. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Charbel. Good morning, everybody.
How's everything going? All right?
Going well. Good to be back. Haven't been here for a few weeks, so
that's right.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's been busy, hasn't it? After Ed Shree was in town, and
even from before when Ed was here, preparing for that, and then his whole trip, and then cleaning up after that, and getting ready for the next thing. It's been hectic, well and truly. So.
Absolutely. Never a dull moment in the Parousia office.
Fair to say, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, we have a very special guest, a good friend of ours, one of our favourites, the one and only, the dynamic Deacon Harold, joining us today, and he is live from Portland, Oregon, and in the United States. So we'll cross over live to him now. Good afternoon, Deacon.
Good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, doing really well. So we've got the morning of Wednesday here, and you are Tuesday afternoon. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep. A beautiful sunny day here in Portland, Oregon, on the west coast of the U.S.
Oh wow! Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. How's everything going?
I've been crazy busy. I'm probably going to be traveling somewhere around 200,000 miles. Probably that's 380,000 kilometers this year.
Wow.
It's been, I've got incredible projects, great working relationships with folks, and man, it's just been, it's been going gangbusters. My book that just came out from EWTN Publishing on the life of Father Augustus Tolton, who was just named Venerable by Pope Francis, is doing well. I am very, very much looking forward to being with you both on the speaking tour and then the pilgrimage.
Yes.
So that all that's just very, very exciting.
We are very excited for that. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, can't wait. We're going to have a couple of weeks together. In fact, you and I will probably have about 3 to 4 weeks together. We'll be together for about a month if we look at the end of August till the end of September.
Wow, I hope we can stand each other after that.
Good luck with that,
Deacon. Well, I'm sure that we're not going to be. There'll be very active events. There'll be things happening all over the place, from Sydney to, rural New South Wales and outside of our area, different dioceses in Australia. Then we're going to Europe together, 3 different countries. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am too.
I thought. So your website, has been interesting. Lots of action there, so people can go to your website, deaconharold.com. You have all your activities up there. You've got your talks and speaking engagements, your resources, and there's also a brand new show you've sort of been a part of this year as part of the EWTN network, a daily morning show. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so EWTN's flagship morning show is called Morning Glory, and it's been on for several years. And I received a phone call last fall asking if I would consider being on the show. I guess they were revamping the show, retooling the show, and they wanted to move in a different direction with it, and asked me if I could be part of the hosting crew. And so I prayed about it for a while. Of course, spoke with my wife about it, and discerned that that God was saying yes, move forward with this. And it's been an incredible adventure. I started in January of this year, and even though it's a very early call for me, the show is on from 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern time. That's 4 to 5 in the morning my time. Wow. On the west coast of the United States.
That really is breakfast radio.
So you have to get up like at 3:15, and so that's been a little difficult, but I've been thoroughly enjoying the show. We've been getting tremendous feedback, literally from all over the world, because it's broadcast live internationally, and so we're receiving correspondence from everywhere from the Philippines to different countries in Africa.
Wow.
Australia.
Yes.
And,
we have it on the Cradio streaming, by the way, on a daily basis. So it works out to be 9 p.m. Sydney time when it's live. So we do get it in Australia via the Cradio platform. We're going to have to talk to the Voice of Charity and see if we can get this stream through live as well. So you'll have another platform again down under.
And to those who can't get it at that time, it also is available as a podcast. That podcast is on all the good podcast apps, and so it's available through that way too. Those who are watching on screen now, we're seeing an image of you, Deacon, with your co-host Gloria Purvis and Monsignor Charles Pope there. So you're the three hosts of that. And as someone who listens to it, it's a fantastic program. It's just really interesting discussion. It's always topical to what's going on around us, and yeah, it's just a really interesting, entertaining discussion. So I would highly recommend that to anyone who's interested in good Catholic content. It's a really worthwhile hour of your time each day.
Well, thank you. Gloria and I were friends, have been friends for a very long time. We even did an episode of Life on the Rock together way back, probably 10 years ago now. Wow. And it's so funny because people thought that we were married. Oh, your wife was on the show with you. I'm like, no, not my wife, but my very good friend. So we've been friends for a long time, and so in fact we did a series together for EW10. It was myself. It was actually Gloria's idea, which she wrote the outline and I pitched it to EW10. It was myself, Gloria Purvis, and Damon Owens.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Authentically free at last.
Yeah, that's right. That was so much fun. And so the three of us are thinking about doing something else together, could maybe a follow-up, because we've gotten some great feedback on that series.
Wonderful. And that series is also available on our website. If anyone's interested in that, you can get a DVD version of that full series from EWTN through the Parousia website as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Monsignor Pope and I have known each other just professionally. He obviously is a very prolific writer, has a very, very popular blog, but doesn't travel a whole lot because he is the pastor of a large and busy parish back in the Washington, D.C. area. But we've always respected each other's work, and so now we get a chance to work with each other every week, and that's been a lot of fun, just getting to know him and working with him and really putting a Catholic perspective on so many things that we're hearing in the news today. And it's so much fun because such a wide-ranging discussion on topics that are relevant to Catholic life today. So we're not afraid to talk about like the transgender issue and religious freedom. And, today we talked about the brown scapular, right? Because today's the Feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. We talked about the opioid crisis and the impact that has on families and how the church is responding to that. So we talk about issues that are important and relevant, which is why I think we have a lot of people are listening, and we're grateful to God for that, because we're really trying to make the Catholic faith meaningful and real. And how do you take this rich, deep, beautiful faith and get it across in people's lives in a way that's powerful and meaningful? So I'm grateful to God for the opportunity to share the faith with people through the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Very exciting, yeah. So Morning Glory is the show. You guys have a lot of fun as well. At the same time, you're hitting really topical issues and hard-hitting issues, but you're also having fun at the same time, which is great to see.
Yeah, we really enjoy each other, and we are having fun. Even though it's early in the morning, it's been a lot of fun to do the show and to talk about things that are important and relevant, because we all, except for Monsignor Pope, Gloria and I have children, and we want to make sure that that parents have tools to be able to talk to their children about the faith, and not just rely on Catholic schools or the parish to do it, or confirmation class to do it. But hopefully both parents and children are listening, maybe on their way to school, and so they can have important conversations about things that are relevant, and young people can learn how to incorporate these things better into their lives, maybe to think about something from a different perspective that they're getting from the culture, and maybe even in their own school. So it really does make the program fresh and lively and dynamic. So again, just gratefully part of the Morning Glory team.
As for those who are viewing, we're seeing some great images of the team scrolling. So Jess is doing a great job here, putting up all these different images online. This looks like a fun team, and it looks like something you'd want to be a part of. So encourage everyone. So 7 a.m. if you're on the east coast of the United States every morning. Those in Australia, it's 9 p.m. And that would be Tuesday to Saturday for us. So 9 p.m. every single evening for those in Sydney. Of course, Perth would be about 7 p.m.
2 hours apart at the moment, yeah.
So fantastic. Thank you for that, Deacon. And I'm really looking forward to having you in this studio. I think we're looking at the last Wednesday of next month or the first Wednesday of September. We're working that out. But having you inside the studio in a not too distant future. So looking forward to having you here as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being back in Australia. This will be my 6th time to Australia.
Wow.
And I'm every time I come, I look so forward to it. There's just so many great people, so much tremendous opportunity to share the faith, our one holy Catholic apostolic faith. And I look forward to it each and every time, and this time is no different. And look forward to going to different places this time, in different parts of Australia, and meeting new people and having new experiences, and all within the context of breaking open and feeding people with the Word of God. So for me, part of what I'm hoping to accomplish with the apostolate is that people feel more deeply connected, not just to their faith, but to the sacramental life as well. Because when you leave Mass, you just were fed with word and sacrament. Now God expects you to do something. So I will hopefully make deeper connections with the grace that we receive in the sacraments and the everyday lived experience. There's a nexus there. How do I take this grace? What do I do with it now? How do I live this out? How do I think through so many complicated issues within the culture? And so that I don't get overwhelmed, or I don't get saddened, I don't get depressed by what's going on. But knowing that Jesus Christ is the heart, the core, the center, the foundation of my life, and being able to share that in a way where people can really feel empowered to live their faith with passion and conviction, and give them hope that Jesus Christ will rescue us from this shadow of death. Jesus said, I am the light. I came to bring the light into the darkness. And the Lord knows we are in the darkness right now in our culture, with so many issues of the transgenderism and the so-called redefinition of marriage, although they didn't redefine anything, because you can't change what God has established. We have a culture fighting so hard against God, and we need to fight back. We need to have the tools to be able to face the Goliath in our lives, just like David did. And so I'm grateful to come back to Australia. I love the country, love the people, love the culture, and I look forward to sharing the faith in a beautiful and powerful way with the people of the great country of Australia.
Amen. Amen to that. Can't wait to have you, Deacon, and do so much more together and really shake it up. So it's great timing. The reason, and a major reason, is for the pilgrimage, and this is a lead up. We're calling your trip to Australia the Parousia pilgrimage tour. So the idea is leading up to our very first ever pilgrimage, and we're honoured to have you being our leader for that. And we're going to Lourdes and Fatima. We're going to Avila. We're going to be seeing all the a range of saints in Spain, Portugal, and France. It's going to be about 11 days, and then we've got the option for those who want to stay on for an extra 5 days in France, so you could see St. John Vianney and some other beautiful places. And just looking at the itinerary, it's non-stop. It just goes from one grace to the next. It's just phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know you've been promoting it as well in the States, but this is not your first trip to those places. You've been there before. Is there anything you can tell our viewers or listeners what they could expect going on pilgrimage to these places?
Well, the interesting thing is I have been on pilgrimage before, but not to these countries. I've actually not been to this part of Europe before. So it's going to be a first time for me too. But here's I've been to the Holy Land 3 times, and other places in Europe, but not here. So, and this is what's exciting for me. Our faith is so beautiful. It truly is. And it's one thing when you read about the faith, you hear about our Blessed Mother, you hear about these amazing saints who's touched so many lives of people who have never even met them, hundreds of years, in some cases 1,000 years after they've already died. They are still tremendously impacting the lives of people all around the world. It's one thing to read about those folks. It's one thing to see pictures of those folks. It's another thing to go visit the places where they lived, where they walked, where they taught, where they received Jesus in the sacraments. It's to be in those places, to stand in the same churches, in the same villages, in the same towns, in a sense, following the footsteps. And we're calling this the Visitations of Mary Pilgrimage, because we're going to be visiting places where the Blessed Mother has had tremendous impact in the lives of people in these 3 countries. Of course, you all know the names: Fatima, Lourdes. Those places stand out in people's minds, and we know that the Blessed Mother has appeared in these places and impacted the lives of a tremendous saint, St. Teresa of Avila, St. Therese of Lisieux, and many, many others, St. John Vianney. And to actually go to the places and experience firsthand, to stand in those same places, it's just a whole different experience of our faith. It really makes it tangible. So it's not just something in our mind, but now we can use our full senses and experience the depth and the beauty of our Catholic faith. For many people, these are once-in-a-lifetime experiences. How often can you say, I've been to Fatima, I've been to Lourdes, I've been to these places? Again, it's not vacation. You're not going there to sightsee. You're not going there to just take pictures. You're going there to truly experience deeply and personally and intimately the love of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ as he gave himself through these incredible saints in these incredible places in Portugal and Spain and in France. And so I am looking forward, and I hope everybody that's hearing the sound of our voices today will take the opportunity to come with us. And some people say, oh, it's kind of expensive. Oh, it's kind of, think about it. If you stop drinking coffee or stop drinking like 1 or 2 cups of coffee, you can save up enough money to go on this trip. And the company Harvest Journeys has a tremendous reputation. In fact, when I was in Israel a couple of months ago, one of the tour guides spoke very, very highly of Harvest Journeys. So you have an Australian-based professional company that's going to take us on a journey. And I'm so honored to be part of that. part of the Parousia family. And the priest that we have coming, Father Dan Maxwell, is just an amazing man of God. Literally one of my favorite priests in the whole world. And to have Mass every day. And here's the beautiful thing I'm looking forward to. Actually, not just going through really quickly and taking pictures and going to the next place and taking pictures, but to have time to sit in these beautiful places and pray. Just to pray. Just to thank God for the incredible blessings that he has given to us. Just to say thank you to Jesus through the blessed and immaculate heart of Mary. To thank them for the gift they've been in our lives. And it's just going to be a tremendous life-changing experience.
Amen to that. We've got on the screen the brochure, the front. You can see, for those watching and those who are listening, that the price for the tour, and that's in Australian dollars, it's $4,190 for everything. That's accommodation, food, all the travel on landed. There's just the flight to get from Australia to Europe, but once you're landed, it's $4,190, and that's really including everything once you're there. That's a 12-day pilgrimage, so I think it's going to be amazing. If we could just go through this quickly, the 12-day pilgrimage, it starts on the 10th of September, so we'll be leaving Australia on the 9th of September, but once we're all there, so those in the States and those around the world coming, we meet Europe time, the 10th of September, and we begin in Lisbon, and we go to Fatima in time for the 13th of the month. So that's really deliberately timed there. So Harvest Journeys, credit to them. They know what they're doing here, and they've timed it. So we're there on the 13th, which is one of the apparitions when Our Lady appeared to the three children. They expect about 50,000 people coming out with a candlelight procession, and that's going to be an amazing, beautiful, prayerful experience. So 3 days in Fatima. And then we go to Avila for 2 days, Segovia, and then Santo Domingo. Then we've got, you might be able to pronounce that better than me, Mark. What's that? Calarruja, Loyola. So, and then Lourdes. We've got 3 days in Lourdes, and we'll be able to, again, there'll be in the square there some time to pray, and there'll be people right there going through the beautiful healing baths of the water, where miraculously it's still flowing today, which is amazing. Montserrat, and then we end in Barcelona, Spain. So that's your 12 days there. And what's nice is there's the optional extra here. So these are the Saints of France in extension. So from Barcelona you go to Lyon, Para-la-Manial, which is 2 days. The Cour d'Ars, the Taizé, the choir, the Navarre or Nevers, and then we've got the Chartres Cathedral, St. Therese of Lisieux, and we end in Paris. So all up, you got the 12 days plus the 5, so 17 days in total if you wanted to do the full thing. And I just think it's going to be an amazing opportunity for people.
It will be fantastic. And Deacon, you mentioned it's not a holiday. You're not going there for sightseeing. So obviously the preparation for a trip like this is going to be very different to the preparation for a holiday. For the people who are already registered to go or who are planning to go, how would you suggest people prepare for a pilgrimage if this is the first time they've done it? It's all very new to them. As someone who's been on pilgrimage before, how would you suggest that they prepare in the weeks leading up?
Yeah, thank you for that, Mark. I think
question.
A beautiful way to prepare for this particular pilgrimage, since the focus is going to be so heavy on the Blessed Mother, is to spend time in that. I would say two things: spend time in Eucharistic adoration, just to pray in that silence, to be open, just like the Blessed Virgin Mary was completely open to God's will at the Annunciation, when the angel Gabriel came to her. Be it done unto me according to thy word. And that should be our words in adoration. Lord, I don't know what to expect. Maybe I'm a little nervous. I'm not used to traveling. Maybe I'm going to be away from my family for 12 days. But you know what, Lord? I really feel that you have called me to this. Lord, I don't know what to expect, but Lord, I know you're going to give me an experience of a lifetime. Just help me to be completely open to everything you want to give me in my life during these 12 days. You know, Lord, let this be 12 days. Transform my heart to bring me even closer to you through the Immaculate Heart of your Blessed Mother. Maybe you don't have a strong Marian devotion. Maybe this is the time that the Blessed Virgin Mary will touch you in a beautiful way, because she always wants to bring us closer to her Son. And so I would say Eucharistic adoration, prepare your heart, your mind to receive, just like the Blessed Mary, Virgin Mary received the Word into her. Be prepared to receive God's Word and sacrament in you during these 12 days. And the other one, of course, we put to pray the Rosary. I'm hoping that we'll have an opportunity to pray the Rosary every day in these beautiful places, and that we're going with a group of people, and my experience is that, people have become friends during this time. In fact, on the pilgrimage I went to last year in the Holy Land, a guy named Charbel from Australia came, and and we ended up becoming friends. Another Charbel, I'm hoping he's coming on this one too. This pilgrimage coming up here. So it's a real opportunity for the body of Christ, the people of God, to come together in a beautiful way to share a truly unique experience of following in the footsteps of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And I know for me, the way I'm preparing myself, I know I'm going to try not to get emotional, because for me, Mary has always been an important touchstone in every aspect of my life. I was born in Barbados in the West Indies, so I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. And I'm actually the first baptized Catholic in the history of my family. My mother was the first Catholic, but she was a convert, so she didn't need to be rebaptized. She was Methodist, so she just needed confirmation and First Communion. But for me, being the oldest child and the first of her in her marriage with my dad, I'm the first baptized Catholic, and I was baptized in Our Lady, Queen of the Universe Catholic Church. I grew up in a parish in New Jersey, Christ the King, of course, who's the son of Mary. The monastery that I was in was the name of the church was St. Mary's. I went to the University of Notre Dame for college, Our Mother. I was ordained a deacon 17 years ago in Immaculate Conception Cathedral in Portland, Oregon, and now I serve as a deacon in Immaculate Heart Catholic Church in Portland. I mean, almost through my entire life, Mary has been, literally from the beginning of my journey of faith and baptism, all the way to my serving as a deacon, all these years later, 50 plus years later, and to go on this pilgrimage to me is a way of honoring and saying thank you to the Blessed Virgin Mary for so many graces and blessings that I've received, and to be able to share this experience with a group of pilgrims whose hearts are open to the Lord, completely open to His will, is going to be a powerful, life-changing experience, and I'm so looking forward to sharing it with all of you who are coming with us, and of course with you, Charbel, who's been such a good and close friend of mine and colleague for the past 7 years.
Amen. Thank you, Deacon. That was amazing. Can't wait. So there it is. More details you can get on the Parousia Media website. There's the Harvest Journeys link there. If you went onto the Parousia Media website and then you went onto just literally look at pilgrimage, or you can go via the Parousia Live button, and then you can scroll at the bottom. There's a Parousia Pilgrimage button, and you click on that. It's got all the details. You can book and get to know them. Harvest Journeys are running the program for us, and we are very excited to be partnering with them on this pilgrimage. We're going to have a break, Deacon. We have our usual break around halfway through. The My Encounter series every Wednesday morning is aired on our YouTube channel. This morning, Jess, who do we have today? And we're going to have a short 2-minute break. We have our very own Salwa Elias. This is another moment in her life. She had an encounter with Christ. One drop to make a ripple. This is a beautiful little video. We hope you enjoy. Don't go away. And thank you to those listening around the world. If you want to call in or post a question, feel free to do so. Number is 9625611, or you can post on the Facebook Live feed. We'll be back very.
I remember when my children were still in primary school, and I was quite active at the school at the time, involved in many aspects of the school and in their education. And we used to have the Angelus prayed every day at midday. The bell would go. Then one day I didn't hear this bell, and it was because the principal had been changed, and the new principal didn't like the Angelus. She thought it was disruptive. So I went to the religious education coordinator and I complained to her as a concerned parent. And she said, look, as an REC, I have to obey the directives given to me by the principal. But you can make a difference, Salwa. And I said, me, I don't have a voice. She said, it takes one drop of rain to make a ripple in the entire ocean. Be that drop of rain. And that gave me so much courage. And ever since then, actually, I have been bold. I have been the voice. I do speak out when I see something is wrong, because I like to remember that it just takes one drop to make a ripple. And I hope I can be that drop that makes a difference in this world.
Beautiful testimony from our very own Salwa Elias, who was on the show last week, and she comes on time to time. Mama Salwa is her nickname to many people. She's such a spiritual mother to many out there. So thank you, Salwa, for that. And we're praying for you as well, for your dedication and commitment to the church, and the world is a better place because of it. So thank you for what you do. Thank you to Susan and Carl and those in Texas watching and listening. This is great. We've got people from around the place here. Feel free to post your comments or questions on our Facebook Live page. We're with Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers from the United States, and he is coming down under before the big pilgrimage. We've just been talking about the Visitations of Mary Pilgrimage with Harvest Journeys starting September 9. We leave the country on September 9. We're going to Lourdes, Fatima, and in France as well. We're going across Spain and Portugal. So we are in 3 countries over 12 days and an optional 5 extra days. Get on our website, or the Harvest Journeys website, to know more. But one other thing, Deacon, before that, you're coming out for a couple of weeks, and we are launching what we call the pre-pilgrimage tour, and I've got on the screen a graphic. Harvest Journeys presents the Parousia pre-pilgrimage tour. It's actually August 27 is your first event that's booked in, but we actually got you a couple of days earlier. August 25, you arrive in Australia, according to your plane ticket, and then we've got September 9 is the day you depart. So all the way from August 25 to September 9, Deacon Harold will be in Australia. We have quite a few highlights for this already booked in and underway. So one major one that I'd like to highlight is the Fire Up Ministries dinner. You are the keynote speaker at that dinner, and that's on September 6th, a Friday night at the Epping Club. Simon Carrington and Maddie, which, by the way, congratulations, they've just had a baby boy recently, and we wish them all the best, little Joseph Colby. So what a beautiful name. But it's great news, Deacon, another good friend of yours, and what a great witness and apostle for the church.
Yeah, I'm so pleased for Simon and Maddie and their new baby, and the work that he's doing in the Lord's vineyard, because it's so important, especially what they're doing with Fire Up Ministries. And I'm so honored to be able to give the keynote. And, I am working on a new talk for them. And truth be told, I'm also working on a new book for Ignatius Press, which I'm using part of my part of that book in crafting this talk for that fundraising dinner. And it's really about the complementarity between man and woman. So the larger work, the book that I'm working on, and it's going to be fairly substantial when it's done. I'm looking at the rediscovery of complementarity between man and woman as the icon of the Trinity. So notice in the Trinity you have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, one God in 3 divine persons, and without any confusion, change, separation, or division. And so there's a beautiful complementarity within the Trinity itself. And because we're made in the image and likeness of God, we are also, we're supposed to live that Trinitarian life in the family. So you have mother, fathers, and children, which is, the image and likeness of God's Trinitarian life here on earth. And so what makes that relationship between a man and a woman unique and special? Because we have a culture that's trying to completely erase and eliminate that distinction. There is no distinction between man and woman. There is no distinction between male and female. That is a lie. That is a lie from the pit of hell. There's no other way to say it. That is a lie from Satan himself. And so what we're going to do is talk about, to show theologically, biologically, and sociologically why that relationship between man and woman is unique and special, and is actually an image of God's own life within himself in the Trinity. And so I'm very excited for the dinner and very excited for the tour.
That's amazing. The details on the screen as well. Friday the 6th of September is this particular event, 7 p.m. start at the Epping Club. Brand new talk, never seen before, the law of attraction, how men and women complement each other. Keynote is Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. Tickets are $100 each, or if you get a table of 10, it's $900. So I do encourage you to get a table, a 3-course meal, unlimited beer, wine, and soft drink. It's formal dress code. Contact Simon at fireupministries.com. I can't recommend this anymore. It's such an amazing night. Let's pack out that room.
And to those who remember last year,
Deacon, I named the talk "The Law of Attraction" because of the book that was written by Australian author Rhonda Byrne, called "The Secret." Yeah, that was a book popular probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. It was a New York Times #1 bestseller. It's basically just New Age nonsense is what it is. But in that book, she talks about something called the law of attraction, which basically says that you attract things that you think of. So if you think about wealth and prosperity, you will be wealthy and prosperous. If you think about poverty, then you're going to be poor. You're attracted what you think about because your thoughts are what's real, and because your thoughts bring about reality, that means you are God. I'm like, whoa, hold on. So now I'm going to talk about the true law of attraction, which is the natural moral law planted into each and every one of our hearts by God himself.
I remember when that book actually came out, and it caused such a stir. It was promoted through all the media platforms. A lot of the talk shows picked it up and did segments on it, and a lot of people did sort of parody acts and skits about it as well, mocking it just because it was such a ridiculous concept. And to prove how ridiculous it was, it's sort of like any other fad does. It disappeared off the face of the earth. It's no one speaks of it anymore. And I suppose what the perspective you're coming from in this presentation, you're presenting an attraction that does last. It does stand the test of time. So yeah, really looking forward to hearing the new talk.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, because that's an attraction that comes from God himself. God has placed that law into the heart of every single human person. Now, because we're still dealing with the effects of original sin in the world, that's why we have earthquakes and fires and diseases and all those kinds of things. Sometimes the wiring gets a little crossed, right? And so we have gender dysphoria and things like that. But we can't absolutize those things, and that's what's happening in our culture today. They're saying your behavior and your feelings define who you are, almost like what Rhonda Byrne tried to do in that book, The Secret. Your thoughts are actually reality, and so the culture's trying to do this, extrapolate that in a very different way, to say that your feelings are your reality. And what shocks me is that governments are now buying into this and saying, and trying to literally rewrite biology and rewrite history. I was having dinner last night with a friend, and who just had a baby boy, and he said in the hospital on the paperwork for the birth, it said other, and it left a blank as far as what sex the child is. He was a boy, but they left it blank. So you don't have to fill that out now. maybe later when the child discovers if he's a boy or a girl, they can come back and write in what he was born as. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? But that's where we are today. And we need to stand up against this culture, just like we heard Salwa talk about in that beautiful testimony. She had the courage to stand up. We all need to do that. And I have to say, Charbel and Mark, one of the people that inspires me is, I know he's going to get a big head over this, but Kevin Bailey. Here's a guy who is outspoken, but beautifully articulate in the way that he shares his faith and politics, things he's passionate about. This is a guy who loves the country of Australia and truly, truly in his heart wants what's best for everyone in your wonderful country. And, he had a run for the Senate, and I was following it closely myself on through social media, and I was cheering him on, and for the cause that he was promoting. And although he didn't win, it wasn't about winning, but for me it was about having that voice and being out there, not being afraid to speak about the beauty and truth of our faith, and that we should have a voice in the public square, that the culture should not just shut us down because we're people of faith, and but the people of faith need to have a voice in this culture that wants to just shut out all the voices other than its own.
I think it's fair to say as well with Kevin, he was saying things that the majority of people in that campaign weren't saying. His presentation was different to most, and whether he wins or not, and in this case unfortunately he didn't, but to be heard, people might hear it and dismiss it, but then the next time they hear it, it's not the first time they've heard it anymore, and it might carry more weight, and before you know it, they've heard it enough times, and they think, well, actually, there's something to this. Isn't that the way we've fallen into the mess that we're in now, is they've heard the other side for so long, and from so many people, that at least now the counter has been presented, dismissed maybe this first time, but it's now on the table again. So there's power at least in having your say, whether or not you get the impact you want initially.
Yeah, well said, Mark. Well said. But we all, I think that can serve as a catalyst for us as Catholics to be able to do the same thing when we're sharing our faith, because that's what we're doing. How could you keep the faith in Jesus Christ if the relationship is the most important relationship in your life, the heart and center of our being and existence? How can you keep that to yourself? How could you not want to share that with every single person that you meet? And so we can't be afraid to really show people the hands, the heart of Jesus Christ. And that's all we're doing. And Parousia is one of the premier evangelization apostles in the world, quite frankly, who is doing this. So Australia is truly blessed to have Parousia there in the country to be the voice of of truth and goodness and beauty in a culture that's trying to rewrite it and redefine it. So instead of being made in the image and likeness of God, the culture is trying to make God in its own image and likeness.
Amen. Thank you for those kind words, Deacon. It's so true. It is a privilege to be doing this ministry and being a part of it for all of us. And just what a dream. We could be doing any other type of work, especially even Kevin, as you mentioned, his name is retired from his business, sold it, and he could be doing anything he likes. He could be just holidaying if he likes. But what he does is he chooses to serve, and he continues to serve and gets nothing in return. It's purely about giving and sacrificing, and he sacrifices lots of family time and his personal time and for the kingdom. And it's great to have him as part of this ministry in a big way. And we thank him for his commitment and dedication and service for the country, for the ministry, and for the church and our world. So, Kevin Bailey, thank you.
Charbel, look how the Lord is even blessed through His Immaculate Mother. Yeah. The work that Parousia is doing. I remember when Parousia was in your living room.
That's right.
in your home in Durham.
That's right.
I remember walking to your living room. You had the CDs and all the stuff in there, and there was a desk in there, and that right. was your office. And now look at how the Lord has incredibly. You were still teaching at that time as well. Right. Now you're doing this full time. the ministry has just exploded. The impact that you're having, not just in Australia, but around the world, especially in the United States, as you partner with many of the one. In fact, I was just with Jeff Cavins a couple weeks ago, and he specifically mentioned Charbel. So I was like, see, everybody's getting. And then when I had a marketing meeting with EWTN executives today, and you came up, and Parousia came up. So they're very much aware of what you're doing, and have tremendous respect for Parousia and the work that's being done there. And so just it's a tremendous blessing to kind of be with Parousia from the beginning, if you will.
Yes.
And to be part of the team and part of the family. It's just a great honor. Mark has just been gangbusters to work with, man. I mean, I just love working with Mark, and if we, and every once in a while we have a little bit of problem with a download or with a CD. It doesn't happen often, but every once in a while Mark is on it. Yes. He takes care of the customers and makes sure to get first class service. And that's how we build up the body of Christ. That's good, right?
You've got to love technology, don't you?
Done well. I think the quality has to be done well, and the quality that I've received in my CDs from Parousia Media and my DVDs and all the other media has been spot on, because it's for the honor and glory of God. It's not just to make me look good. I could care less about that. It's about honoring God, and that's what Parousia has done from the start.
Thank you, Deacon. That's great. It's great. It's a privilege to be working with you, and expanding in the United States more and more. We're starting to hear the name pop up more and more, and that's thanks to you as well and your active promotion on the ground over there. So, looking forward to seeing where the Lord leads us in that space in America. We've got another event I wanted to touch on. This is with the Parramatta Diocese, and this is the Friday before. So September 6th is the Fire Ministries Dinner. On August 30, this is now with the Parramatta Diocese, the Life and Marriage Office. On the screen there is a flyer here as well. It's part of the Faith in Marriage Seminar, and Deacon will be speaking on faith in building a strong marriage, building strong marriages. And this is another area of your expertise, Deacon. You talk about marriage quite often. You actually have a whole program which we just received just yesterday from.
Yeah, I might touch on that in a minute.
Stones. Yeah. But we love your expertise on this topic, and this will be on Friday the 30th at 7 p.m. or 7:30, and it will be at the St. Paul's Catholic Church College Hall, 198 Old Prospect Road, Greystanes. Free to attend. Just get in touch with the Para Catholic. So go to LMF, that's Life, Marriage, Family, at paracatholic.org. There is also a number 88383460, and register just so they know how many people are coming, and they can have some refreshments available on the night. So that's great work from the Parramatta Diocese, the LMF agency.
Absolutely, and that does lead us back to that program you just mentioned, Deacon Harold, the program you did, The Greatest Commandments, basically a marriage enrichment program.
Yeah.
We've just received a massive stock of that, and we're going to start promoting that one heavily, and it will be available while Deacon's here. So I know I've done the program myself with my wife.
Great.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that program, Deacon, just as an introduction for people who may not have heard about it, and we'll be seeing it very shortly through our website and at your events?
Yeah, it's a 40-week program, and people say 40 weeks. Oh my goodness, how can you do something for 40 weeks? Well, hold on a second. Let's back up. The 40 appears a lot in the Bible, right? 40 days and 40 nights in the Ark. 40 years wandering in the desert. We just, if you do the Office of Readings, you saw that Elijah was in the desert for 40 days. Moses getting the 10 Commandments for 40 days on Mount Sinai. David killed Goliath on day 40 of the challenge that Goliath issued. Jesus in the desert before his public ministry for 40 days. And 40 was the number of gestational weeks in a pregnancy for the Jewish people. So it represented a time of trial, of testing, and of waiting, because after 40 days, weeks, years, God is going to do something. And so this is 40 weeks, and it's very, very simple. All you do is there's a DVD, and you watch it for 20 minutes a month. It's broken into 4 segments. And so if you can't watch it with your spouse 20 minutes at the beginning of every month, then you can watch 5 minutes a week. So it's broken into 4 5-minute segments that cover the 4 weeks of the month. And then to follow up with the weekly program, you get an email, one email for the wife and another email for the husband, and it also has an MP3 embedded in the email. So if you can't read the reflection, you can listen to it. And so it's just a way of following up on the different topics that are brought up in that program. It's really focusing on the small things, because it's the small things in marriage that often make the biggest difference. Because what happens after a while, you start taking the other person for granted. Oh yeah, you court and you open the door for your wife, and take her out to dinner and wine and dine, and then you get married. Okay, there's a sense you kind of compartmentalize your life. Okay, I've got that part of my life done. Now I can focus on my career. Now I can focus on this. Now we can focus on the kids and getting the kids to soccer and to school and to football and to rugby and all these other things. And you forget about yourself. You're as a couple in that marriage. And so what this program does, it works within the busyness of a married couple's life, and it gives them little vignettes to do small things every week that make a big difference. And we talk about finances, we talk about sex, we talk about building a life of prayer together as a couple over that entire 40 weeks. And hopefully when the program is over, the goal is this: you do those small things so that it becomes habitual. So now you're used to doing these things for each other. You're used to doing these small things for each other that end up making a big difference and big impact in your marriage.
And the other thing you get, and I've just pulled out my wallet because I did this program about 18 months ago, and I still carry the husband and the wife both get a prayer for each other, and I still carry the husband's prayer for his wife around in my wallet with me every day. So it is something that once you finish the program, it does plant seeds that you then take on throughout the rest of your marriage. And just a funny story on this one. I'm sure Karen Manche, who used to work with us, won't mind me telling this story. Back when we first stocked this program, it was just before Christmas that we first got the stock, and she bought one for her husband, John. And not too long after that, he came and bought one for her for Christmas. And I thought, well, I don't want to spoil either one's Christmas surprise, so we let them both continue and give it to each other for Christmas, and then we refunded one of them after the fact. But it was good to see they were both on the same page at least. So. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic program.
And you're right. I mean, I thought a lot about that a lot when writing those prayers for the cards, and again, just a beautiful way to be reminded, because some couples, and the reason why I did that, some couples can't pray together. They don't know what to say. I mean, their individual prayer life may be okay, but they don't pray together. You got to remember, you're one flesh. The two become one, and you're on this journey to get each other to heaven as one. And so if you can't know what to say to each other in prayer, then that's why I have the prayer card. So that if you don't know what to say, then just say that prayer. It's just a beautiful way of uniting your hearts and your lives together, so that you can do that work of helping to get each other to heaven.
So for those watching on screen, that little prayer card is just there. So it's just something really small. It's wallet size, and it's something you can carry around with you and just pull out. And pray that from time to time for your spouse. It's a very powerful tool.
The Greatest Commandments is the name of the program, and it's a 40-week spiritual journey for married couples. Beautiful, very powerful. Highly recommended for anyone. And there's also the diary as well, right? The love journal, and you share some of your thoughts together. And that's so good, so good. Wow, that's great work, Deacon. Look, it's a great pack. It comes in a really nice package. We're so excited. We've got now good number of stock in Australia now, so we can make that available to all those, and hopefully on tour we'll have a big focus on this as well, to try to get this into as many marriages and couples' hands, because this is going to save many marriages, I believe. And I think you've had many stories yourself, Deacon, where people have come up to you and said that it's helped their marriage in a big way.
Yeah, it's funny, just this week I gave a talk at a parish locally here in Oregon, and it wasn't on my schedule or anything. It was just a part of a thank you to a donor who was very generous to the Catholic radio station. And as a thank you for her wonderful gift, I just went and did a free talk at her parish. And so, about 80 people, 90 people showed up. And afterward, a guy came up to me and had a beautiful wife and a brand new baby, and was such a joy to see them. And the guy said, Deacon, I heard you talk about, I forget how long ago it was, but you was talking about marriage, and you had said something that really stuck in my mind, and it changed my whole course and direction of my life. And because of what you said, I was able, I was able to find this beautiful woman now who's now my wife, and now we have a baby together, and I was talking about that Greatest Commandments program. So it's funny, he didn't even have the program because he wasn't married. And I was just talking about elements that are in that program, and that, he said, it triggered something in his mind. His whole approach to how he went about finding a wife changed. And when that change happened is when he found the woman that is now his wife. And like I said, they have their first child, beautiful baby, who was at the talk. And it was wonderful to hear how God is working in people's lives. And I maybe I'm a little small piece of that, but again, I'm just an instrument. God's a musician.
Amen. Amen.
And it just goes to show it's not necessarily something for a marriage in trouble. It's just a marriage enrichment tool, no matter where you're at, whether you're, even for someone who's discerning marriage, it's something that they can have in mind, some of the things that you pick up in that. Yeah. Obviously, the program is designed to work with a married couple, but it's just a program to enrich your marriage. You could think you're going along great, but still give it a shot. You might hear something you've never heard, consider something a way you've never considered it before, and it could really help your marriage to flourish.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even for me, you just think, oh, Deacon Harold, he has a perfect marriage. Well, no, we have a regular marriage. We argue. Sometimes we get upset with each other. Sometimes, come on, man, just being real here, right? But even following the things in the program, even though I helped develop the program, and my wife actually recorded the wives MP3s that are in the emails they receive each week. We're just a couple that are working really hard to maintain our relationship, and with Christ as the heart and the center of it. And so we actually just don't pay lip service to these things. We have to actually live it every single day. And it's work, man. Being married is the hardest thing I've ever done. But it's also the most fulfilling. And sometimes you just get to a point where it becomes a routine. It becomes a rut. And you don't feel the joy, you don't feel the passion, but it's not about how you feel, because ultimately it's a decision, and sometimes you need help to get over those rough times. And that's what this program helps do. Again, you don't have to be even in trouble in your marriage. This is just a way to maybe you will take your marriage to that next level spiritually. This is a way to do it.
Yes. Amen. Beautiful. I wish we could continue. We are out of time, unfortunately, Deacon. Would you believe it? That's an hour already.
Wow, I can't believe it. But just one more plug for the Visitations of Mary Pilgrimage. 12 days starting on 10 September and going through Portugal and Spain and France. And I'm so honored to be partnershiping with Parousia and Harvest Journeys. So it's not too late to sign up. So I would strongly encourage, please, to sign up and to come with us, to experience the footsteps, walking in the footsteps of those great saints who had such a strong devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary, and allow the Lord to really work in your life in a very powerful way, so that Christ can become more truly the heart and the center of our lives. So I'm very much looking forward to all the people that are going to be going with us.
Absolutely. Super excited myself going on there.
There's information on my website. If there's people in the U.S. who want to come with us or other parts of the world, just go to my website, and there's information there on how you can sign up if you're coming from the U.S.
DeaconHarold.com. DeaconHarold.com. Deacon, I want to thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you next month. That's the pre-pilgrimage tour, and then we go on pilgrimage together. So thank you so much for making the time to be with us today, and also and carving out that time for the tour and pilgrimage later next month. So I really appreciate your efforts and sacrifices for us.
No, it's an honor and a privilege to be working with Parousia, and like I said, I'm just so thrilled that God put us together, and that we're working to bring His kingdom to here on earth. And so I'm just so grateful for that. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you're in all of our prayers, and we ask for all those to pray for Deacon Harold and his apostolate and his beautiful family. Thank you, Deacon. We'll be in touch. That'll be goodbye from us here, but we'll be in touch via email, I'm sure, we'll touch base soon.
Thank you, Mark and Charbel, and look forward to seeing you in a month.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
God bless, guys.
That's Deacon Harold, the one and only. He's a great...
He's amazing. Really, really good guy.
But we're out of time. We're going to go now with the final something to think about. Next week, Katrina Zeno will be in the studio. Katrina Zeno is in Australia at the moment doing an intensive course, Theology of the Body, and she'll be joining us in the studio to tell us a bit about that and her great work as well. So don't miss that next week. Thanks again, and God bless you.
My name is Father Peter Brockwell, and I'm a parish priest in New Zealand, a little country town there. One of the things that I came to understand through the teachings of our faith is the goodness of creation. I wondered how original sin affected that goodness of creation. How did it detract from it in any way? And an understanding a good teaching of original sin, which the church comes from the church, I was able to see that in fact the goodness of creation was retained. Put simply, it has to do with the effects of original sin, weakening our intellect in terms of our appreciation for the things of God, the things not of this world, of the next world, so to speak, because the things of this world are all too strong and pervasive, and they cloud out the things of the other world. And in terms of the will, weakened in our attempts to strive for those things of God. So nothing to do with whether creation's good or not, just an effect on our intellect and our will. And so that really gave me a good appreciation for the goodness of creation, the good of my own soul and my own person as well, that is unaffected, in fact, by original sin. Maybe that's something that's good to think about.
From the words of St. John Paul II. This is no time to be ashamed of the gospel. It is the time to preach it from the rooftops. Do not be afraid to break out of comfortable and routine modes of living in order to take up the challenge of making Christ known in the modern world. Let us open our ears and our hearts to listen to the answers of our long-lost questions. Join us every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. for Parousia Hour, inviting expert guest speakers every week as we discover the fullness of truth, live on the Voice of Charity.